All right, so looking now at what are scenarios for the election going forward. All right, so as I was starting to say at the beginning of the end of the last video, I guess I was talking about the fact that if Biden stays in the race, this could be a very good thing for Trump. The professional betting markets have him, at a fairly substantial lower odds than Trump of winning. And of course, while those aren't foolproof or anything, it does tell you kind of when people are putting money on an outcome, they're probably, it's just a decent indicator, right, of where things stand. So Biden stays. Potentially, Trump may not have to do a whole lot more than just sit back and kind of let things unfold. And that's kind of his approach in the debate, I think. And it may work for him in the general election. Now, there was polling that came out that said that, something like 72% of people did not think that Biden was cognitively able to, or was not mentally fit for the job, something like that. And there's maybe, for Trump, there was I forget, it was the range in the 30s or something. But anyway, the debate certainly did not help that perception. All right, so let's say that Biden does step down. What happens next? Well, here's where it gets interesting, because there's not that much time before the DNC's convention. Or am I being redundant there? Anyways, not that much time before the Democratic National Convention, and so they would have to get something lined up pretty quick. Could be a little bit chaotic. Biden potentially could give his delegates to a specific candidate, so he could kind of potentially appoint the next person, kind of the heir apparent, if you will. I'm not sure if that's the way it works or not. It's not clear that anybody can force Biden out necessarily. So if he decides he wants to stay in the race, by all indicators so far, it seems to be the case that he does. He may have the power to stay in. There may be nothing anybody can really do about that, outside of evoking maybe the 25th Amendment or something in an extreme case. But not likely people have the stomach to do that. So anyway, so let's say he does decide to step down, and you have these other governors and whoever, kind of Kamala, who is not, some people claim she's the default. Some people say, no way, Jose. Terrible polling numbers in the presidential primaries or whenever when she tried to run. And so they're like, no way, Jose, are we trying to run with Kamala, right? So other people are like, well, you can't really get past Kamala because for a party that's all about racial inclusion and all that jazz, and then you can't just skip over her, right? It's not a good look from a racial perspective. So who knows what they would do there. I don't think they would go with her. I think they would run with someone like Gretchen Whitmer or Gavin Newsom or somebody like that. The thing about those people is, of course, they're untested on the national stage. Could they have like a DeSantis style, could it be the DeSantis style illusion where, before he's in the presidential race, you're like, I think he could do really well. I think he could be a Trump beater. And then he gets on the national stage and it's like, it doesn't go good, So would that be how some of these candidates could be? It's very possible. Gavin Newsom, it depends what you think about how things are going in California, I guess. If you like the way things are going in California, then you're probably cool with Gavin Newsom. If you think that things in California are not going good, you're probably not a fan of Gavin Newsom. So, anyway, so there are some options out there that they could run with, but then in something like a national election, the name recognition is going to be such a compressed time for that person to have name recognition and all of that stuff. How is that going to play into the general election? Is it possible that, how will that work? So, Alan Lightfoot, the guy with the 13 predictors on whether, someone's going to get reelected, I think he still says that Biden should absolutely stay in the race, that he's the best chance from the Democratic side that they have to win the race. Even, I suppose, that even though, as I've discussed before, the chance there is probably not that good. So, if I'm basically, I would say that I think the bottom line here is that the Democrats are in an awkward spot. And, how they got there is kind of interesting. And, I think in the past, probably, Democrats have been able to kind of sit back and chuckle as the Republicans struggle to know what to do with Donald Trump. I think this is now the other direction now. I think now Republicans are grabbing bags of popcorn, sitting back in their recliners, and getting ready for a great show, if you will. In a sense, if you're that kind of a sort of a dunking on them person, we've already had a great show, if you will. Like I said, not wishing dementia on anybody, but if you're a Republican, you want Trump back in office, I gotta say things are looking mighty good at the moment. And while it is possible that a fresh Democratic candidate could really enthuse, get those people out to the polls, otherwise we're just gonna be like the people who would have voted for Biden, except they're just not in maybe the most important thing is I think that on the Democrat side, that I think the voter enthusiasm is pretty low. Now, there are people who are probably enthused just by virtue of trying to not let Donald Trump come in. I would guess people who truly love Biden deeply and are like really, really could not bear to see anybody else on the Democratic ticket except for him. I don't know. I just have to wonder if that number is really that high. So, I think a lot of voters feel like we're choosing between two bad options this year. There's a lot that don't. There's a lot that are heartily supporting Biden, a lot that are heartily supporting Trump. But I think there's quite a few people in the middle that are kind of like, is this all we have to work with? And those people, I think, should Biden continue to run, I think, are perhaps likely to not show up at all at the polls. And so for those people, the sort of like, or to vote for a third party, right? Vote for RFK Jr. or something like that. So you can just kind of see the air just kind of on the Democratic side. And now, Biden had some good fundraising, I guess, after during the weekend or whatever, after the debate performance. He came out at the North Carolina rally and, really acted energetic. Did a great job reading off his teleprompter or whatever. But it's really, I think for Republicans, this is really a popcorn moment right now. And I think the Democrats have had their popcorn moments in the past. And I think the Republicans are getting it now. And I think in general, political division is kind of stupid. I don't mean that it's stupid to have an opinion on a political issue. What I mean is, I think that a lot of the division is kind of fake division that the media and politicians kind of benefit by playing the two sides against each other to keep people distracted or keep people interested, to get donations, whatever it is. I would be happy with a much higher emphasis on policy, a much lower emphasis on personality, I would say. But be that as it may, we are humans. We tend to organize in tribes, and admittedly, that is part of the entertainment value of politics, is watching to see if your team wins. So anyway, interesting to see what happens. Glenn Greenwald predicted that by Monday, which we're on here today, that because Barack Obama came out and said that, hey guys, basically, let this one slide, it's fine, keep going, that the media outlets would be back to by Monday they'd be back to okay, hey, we gotta keep plugging for Biden. I haven't kept up. I haven't seen all the news necessarily that's out today, but based on what I saw yesterday, that was not necessarily the case yet. A lot of the mainstream media outlets were still keeping the speculation going on whether Biden should, raising the issue at least of whether Biden should step out, what the possibilities are if he does, what the scenarios are, and things like that. So, could something dramatically swing this in the direction of allowing the Democrats to still win this election. It is possible. But whether you got Biden or whether you got a fresh face, at this point, not looking too good.